about some of the stuff that happened on the undercard, or lower down the card, should I say. Who we got in here? Oh yeah, we need to bring the music down. Excuse me. Bring that music down. Sorry about that. All right, let's start that again. Hamas Drax back daily boxing news. We're on this live stream for Luke Partridge, aka Tyson Fury versus Arslanbek Makhmudov, and also the co-feature or chief support, however you want to describe it, Benn versus Regis Prograis. I would have liked to have started this stream a bit earlier on, but been busy. You know how it is. We can talk about some of the stuff that's happened on the undercard though. There was a couple of interesting heavyweight fights. Frazer Clarke versus Justice Hoodie I thought was surprisingly entertaining. Two very good technical fighters. The thing that split them was the athleticism of Hooney. Both guys, very storied amateur careers. Again, technically good, but Hooney just had athleticism, speed, variety, you know, versatility, which Frazer Clarke didn't have. And Justice Hoodie managed to get it on, get the decision. Some people are saying the sound is low. Can you guys hear me? They're saying the sound is low. Okay, that's weird. Because on my, hang on. Let me try to turn it up a little bit. Can you guys hear me a bit better now? Yeah, other people are saying the sound is good. For me, yeah, the sound is actually loud. Because I'm looking at my levels here and the levels seem fine. In fact, yeah, a little on the loud side, slightly. Maybe it's people's devices. Pick up Matt Borgerson for the super chat. Yes, yes. So yeah, there was the TKV Riakporhe fight and the Hooney versus Frazer Clarke fight. I thought Hooney did deserve to win the Frazer Clarke fight. Again, he had the athleticism, but a surprisingly decent fight. And as far as TKV versus Riakporhe, and by the way, I think I picked Hooney to beat Frazer Clarke, but I did not pick Riakporhe to beat TKV. I think I picked TKV in that fight, but Riakporhe got it done. I did say that I thought that TKV would outslick Riakporhe, and maybe Riakporhe, if he's going to win it, might win it in a similar fashion to the way that Adalai beat TKV, but it wasn't that kind of fight at all. Riakporhe actually controlled things. He intimidated TKV with his power. He got his jab going. It was a very good performance by Richard Riakporhe. I was impressed by the way he looked. He's never going to be the most fluid fighter in the world, but he looks very strong at heavyweight. Has to be said. Big up Matt Borgerson for the super chat. As I say, he says, yes, he's back. Been waiting for you, man. Missed you, Hatman. Big up Matt Borgerson every time. Missed you too, my guy. Shout out to Grizz. He says, Hatman, do you think Deontay Wilder has a brain injury that predates boxing? Can't believe his Piers Morgan interview. Well, you know the thing they say about certain people where they dropped on their head at birth? I don't know whether that happened to Deontay Wilder, but some people just not very bright. And Wilder's one of those people. Big up Grizz. Much appreciated for the super chat. And yeah, his Piers Morgan interview was wild when he started talking about his ex. And by the way, I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware, but he's actually being sued by his ex and his ex's son right now. So I hope he got paid well for the Chisora fight, because he might need it for the lawyer fees. Or the settlement, if there is one. Yeah, big up Rep. He says, Riakporhe called out Johnny Fisher. That was a crazy call out. Do you know what I mean? I mean, why not call out Italma or call out somebody, not Johnny Bosch? That's a horrible mismatch if ever I saw one. Can you imagine Riakporhe versus Johnny Bosch? Big up Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says, did you see how absolutely diabolically out of shape TKV was? This is the moment of your life. What are you doing? This is the problem with heavyweight. Well, TKV is normally like that. You know, he's not a body beautiful type, but to be fair, he was in better condition than that when he fought David Adalai. He came in light. At least he looked lighter than that. Aesthetically, he looked in better shape. So yeah, he came in flabby, blubbery. You would have liked to have seen him lighter as you say, for the biggest fight of his career. But, you know, discipline is something which comes with people's personality. You know, some fighters just find it impossible, not impossible, but find it a lot more difficult than others to actually be disciplined. They get into bad habits, they got a bad lifestyle, and they find it hard to shake it. Fighters like that really need to be taken out of their environment completely. Do you know what I mean? They need to go into camp somewhere, maybe out of their own country, where they don't know anybody, where they don't have anything to do except train. That's the kind of camp that TKV needs, because he doesn't have the natural discipline. You know, he doesn't have it. We got Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says they could honestly cut fighters for being that out of shape. You have a job to do for people and you're failing to provide that product looking crap. I mean, I hear you, Matt, but then if that was the case, you wouldn't have got Andy Ruiz knocking out Anthony Joshua, you know? Sometimes a tubby looking fighter, particularly heavyweight, maybe they have a really bad metabolism combined with not the greatest discipline, but they can really fight. Big up Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says, also, I like that fight for Atama or Adalai. We don't need to move Atama to the top when we can't guarantee Usyk or Hrgovic since they have fights. I completely agree with you, Matt. I don't see the reason to rush Atama into a title fight this year. I don't get it. Really don't understand what the rush is. Taylor Blair says, lives that roadman life. Big up Kira Malcolm. Yes, run the likes, people. Anyway, let's switch up the visuals here in prep for the co-main. There you go. Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis. Big up Matt Borgerson every time. Shout out to everybody who's locked in. Matt says, what's the law with Ben's mayonnaise hair? I've got no idea. He looks a bit like Yaz, you know, the pop singer from the 1990s with that hairstyle. Anybody remember Yaz? All right, Michael Buffer now standing on the Domino's logo. About to call out the fighters for this co-main chief support. He's now calling out Regis Prograis. Prograis comes to the ring. What kind of ring walk is he going to have? I saw an interview with Steve Bunce, and he said that Prograis was planning to come to the ring in a wheelchair with a fake cast on his leg. You know, because there've been all that talk, all those rumors about him being injured. That's right. The only way is up. Jay Krebs knows. Or Cisco. That's another one. Yeah. But yeah, going back to Matt's point, I really don't get the rush with Atama. The only way I saw that you would want to rush Atama is if the Mike Tyson record was still there to be broken, but it's not. So yeah, no reason to rush. Big up Matt for the super chat. It says, how long have you been off? How long have to be off for it to be a comeback? I guess you mean how long does the fighter have to be away from the ring for it to be a comeback? Well, sometimes it's not really about the amount of time you've been off. It's just about whether you're coming off a loss. You know, when a fighter loses, especially at this stage of their career, there's this idea that they might retire. So it's like, they're going to come back. And when they do, even if it's 6 months later, they call it a comeback fight. As far as, you know, if you're coming off a loss, maybe if you're out the ring for a year, we'll call it a comeback. I'm assuming that's what you meant, but big up Matt Bryan for the super chat. Much appreciated. Is Prograis Native American? he's Creole. You know, he's from down there in Louisiana. So there's a lot of people with mixed ancestry down there in Louisiana. You know, they've got that French Creole kind of influence there. But he calls himself the Rougarou, which is a cryptid. It's like a mythological wolf type creature from Louisiana folklore. I'm not sure if it comes from the Native American tradition or it was European settlers that first spoke of this creature. I'm not sure. But yeah, the Rougarou. Because yeah, he's got the Native American stuff. Maybe he does have ancestry, I don't know. Or maybe it's just because he calls himself the Rougarou. I got no idea. Kylie says, Yaz Cisco, Wesley Snipes, in Demolition Man, take your pick. Yeah, Conor Benn just looks increasingly ridiculous, doesn't he? He sounds ridiculous. He looks ridiculous. He's going all out with the ridiculousness. All right, Buffer now calling Clonner Hen. Let's see if he gets booed. Eddie Hearn said he'd get booed. Is he going to get booed here? I can hear some boos ringing out. Let's listen. Yeah, there's plenty of boos. Plenty of boos. But he got massively cheered for both Eubank fights, so there's still going to be a lot of support there. There he is walking to the ring with his dad, Nigel. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. About to do this live commentary for Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis. And in case anybody hasn't heard my take on this fight, my prediction, I'm expecting Conor Benn to stop Regis Prograis. I don't think the fight goes the distance. Conor Benn's got all the advantages. Regis Prograis has been looking vulnerable for a long time. I mean, to play devil's advocate though, maybe Prograis should have moved up before now. Maybe his punch resistance would have been better had he moved up earlier. Maybe that was one of the issues, because his punch resistance, Prograis, has been deteriorating for a long time now. Getting hurt by Jojo Diaz and Devin Haney. Do you know what I mean? These guys are not punchers. Would I like to watch Benn Eubank 3? Hell no. I didn't want to watch Benn Eubank 1. Never mind Benn Eubank 3. We're talking about the sons now, obviously, not the dads. Big up Mr. Luca. He says, any chance Usyk sabotages AJ so he can get number 3? What, with Partridge? I don't think so. I mean, you never know in boxing. But I don't know. I doubt it. But I guess it's crossed your mind, Mr. Luca, or else you wouldn't have mentioned it. That Usyk might be that dastardly. At the end of the day, we don't know these people personally, you know? Usyk might come across a certain way publicly, but we don't know what he's really like. Big up Mr. Luca thinking outside the box. Big up Matt Borges, and he says, I'm just in the Inoue Nakatani waiting list now. Yeah, as far as the Partridge merchandise, I actually tried to design the Partridge t-shirts a couple of weeks ago and have them on sale long before this fight. But unfortunately, Teespring are moving weird now. I was trying to upload the design of Partridge's face and put the logo and all that kind of stuff, and they kept deleting it. So they've got some weird algorithm running on the Teespring website now, where if they detect any image that's maybe used somewhere else on the internet, they'll just delete your design. So I don't know, man. Maybe I guess I need to find a different company, different website to work with, because Teespring is one of these websites where you design a t-shirt, you know, you pick the fabric and all that kind of stuff, and then you put it on your Teespring shop, People can buy it, and Teespring handle all the transactions and manufacturing and all that kind of stuff for you. Obviously, they take a cut. Benn looks so ridiculous with that hair. His facial expressions, everything just looks crazy ridiculous. Conor Benn's a lot better pound for pound than Johnny Fisher, but he's basically going down the Johnny Fisher route, isn't he? Of being a gimmick fighter, not being a fighter that really cares about proving himself to be the best. Just wants to do this gimmick fight thing. Yeah, he does look corny. Dominica says Vistaprint. Wow, do Vistaprint do t-shirts and stuff like that? I remember that company. I used them years ago for business cards. Shout out to Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says, I call that genius marketing of a product though. What, Conor Benn's hair? Marcus says Hollywood ruined Conor Benn. Kylie says Conor Benn's lack of self-awareness never fails to blow my mind. Yeah, same here. Okay, Eddie Hearn there, being shown on the big screens. He's looking a little uncomfortable. Fast car, what's that all about? That's right, Eddie Hearn hating from the sidelines, praying on Conor's downfall from the sidelines. Would that be a bad omen for Conor Benn having Eddie Hearn there? A man who he supposedly wronged, but I'm not so sure about that. I think Eddie Hearn, I'm convinced Eddie Hearn always knew what Conor Benn was, what kind of person he was. I mean, circumventing the due process for the 2 failed PED test for as long as humanly possible, and Eddie Hearn backing him, like, come on. Why would he do that, Eddie? Why would he try and circumvent those due process for those 2 failed tests for that long? Because he blatantly did. And then why would he not release to the public the reason that the National Anti-Doping Panel overruled UKAD and the British board and allowed him to fight again? Because Conor Benn is allowed to divulge that information. Nobody else is. Everyone else is bound by confidentiality, but Conor Benn can, if he wants to, divulge to the public why the National Anti-Doping Panel allowed him to box again. If it was because he was totally exonerated and the testing was rubbish and flawed, or there was contamination, or whatever the case may be, then surely he would release the information to the public, but he hasn't done that. Anyway, let's see how he performs here. Big up Matt for the super chat. He says, the way Eddie reacted to Conor's betrayal makes me truly believe he was in the bed sheets with, okay, Sky Nicholson, without a doubt in my mind. LMAO. Yeah, loud boos for Benn. Is Eddie Hearn smiling? They need to cut to Eddie Hearn's face right now. Does Conor Benn think he's Super Saiyan? Is that what a hairstyle's all about? Is it Super Saiyan mode? Yeah, there's a lot of boos there for sure. There is a lot of cheers too, but there's definitely a lot of boos. Yeah, Prograis does have power, but his power was at 140 pounds. This fight is at 150. Benn doing some intense stare down here. He looks very gaunt in the face though, Benn, doesn't he? He looks kind of weak in the face. This is the lightest Benn has been for years now, at 150. But he does look very gaunt in his face. What do you guys think? You guys think he looks gaunt in the face? Okay, here we go anyway. Round 1 of this fight about to kick off. Wave says Benn looks weight drained. Well, if he is weight drained, he'll get a taste of his own medicine. Let's see. Prograis definitely not going to be weight drained. There's a bell for round 1. Here we go. Conor Benn, Regis Prograis. Conor Benn, the bigger fighter, Regis Prograis, the southpaw. Prograis flicks out the right jab. Conor Benn feinting. Well, Benn looks quite energetic on his feet, and he is normally a very energetic fighter. Okay, they tangle up. Conor Benn's got Regis Prograis in a headlock there. Again, Conor Benn's always been an energetic fighter, and he's bouncing up and down on his toes here, trying to feint and get a reaction from Prograis. That was a nice left hand there from Prograis. I'm not sure it landed on Conor Benn's chin, maybe on the chest, but Benn very aggressive here, opening up with big shots. Let's see if Prograis can land something to get Conor Benn's respect. Yeah, Benn feinting. I'm trying to get the jab going. Conor Benn, the slightly taller fighter, looks to have the longer arms to me. That was a nice left hand though from Regis Prograis down the middle, and another left hand from Regis Prograis. They were good shots. Prograis was a world champion at 140 pounds, was a good fighter, fought, a lot of top guys, but he's seen better days. Will he be somewhat revived with the extra 10 pounds, not having to boil down to 140? One thing I can say right away is that Prograis looks very relaxed to me. Benn is the one who's bouncing around, who looks, I don't want to say anxious, but certainly keen to get his teeth into the fight. But Prograis is just taking his time. He's very experienced, more experienced than Benn, certainly at a high level. Benn not quite as aggressive now after taking a couple of clean ones from Regis Prograis. That's interesting. Again, Prograis has settled into this fight very, very quickly. And to reiterate, I'm expecting Conor Benn to stop Prograis. But that was a nice left hand there from Prograis again. And somehow, Conor Benn's blonde hair makes his head look bigger. So, the superior technical ability of Prograis is... Okay, Conor Benn slipped over there. Don't think there was any punch landed. Big up Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says, I thought it was wild that Prograis was some bum. Yeah, Prograis never been a bum. But my perception going into the fight is that Prograis is very much over the hill. Oh, that's a good right hand from Benn there. Oh, I think Prograis hurt at the end. Wow. Prograis was badly hurt at the end of the round. Damn. His legs went. Oh my days. That was a good round for Prograis until he caught that shot. Yeah, I mean, I think Prograis won that round, but he'll go into the second round now with his confidence dented, or dented, should I say, because he was hurt badly there at the end of the round. It was a left, actually, that hurt Prograis. Prograis' legs look real wobbly. Real wobbly. Let me see the right hand. Okay, there's a right hand on the ear that actually buckled. Was that the one that buckled Prograis' legs? The right hand on the ear? Or was it a different shot? Let me see here. They're going to show the punch right at the end of the round. Do they have a... Okay, yeah, right hand right on the chin from Benn. So this is one of the reasons I always thought that Conor Benn would win the fight, because Prograis had shown really deteriorated punch resistance even at 140 pounds. And here he's fighting a guy at 150 pounds where he's never fought before, who's very aggressive, who throws a lot of shots. He's been up at 160. There's no rehydration clause or anything like that here. So yeah, I gave Prograis that first round, but not a good sign that he was hurt so badly right on the bell. Anyway, we're 30 seconds into round 2 here. Let's see what happens. Again, Prograis trying to be as relaxed as he was in the first fight, first round. But he will have been somewhat psychologically jolted by being hurt like that. Okay, Conor Benn's got the bounce in his step. He's moving about. He's feinting. He's trying to get a reaction out of Regis Prograis. Nice right hand there from Conor Benn. I think that landed on Regis Prograis' chest. So this is an intriguing fight right away, because you can see the superior skills maybe of Prograis, but Conor Benn with the size and his punches are having more effect, concussive effect so far. But you can see if Prograis can make certain adjustments and block Conor Benn's power, you could see how he can actually start coming into this fight and maybe taking control, because he does have the better skills from what I'm seeing at the moment. He's the more relaxed guy. He's not wasting all this motion. Conor Benn wastes loads of motion. Nice left hand there from Regis Prograis down the middle, but he kind of slipped over when he landed it. But that was a nice left hand from Regis. Shout out to Matt Borgerson for the super chat. He says, Prograis' chin seems broken, mouth wide open. I guess you mean his jaw? That'd be very unfortunate if he's suffered a broken jaw. But yeah, Prograis' been chinny for a while now. Remember the Haney fight? That was a couple of years ago. He was hurt in that fight. He was hurt by Jojo Diaz of all people, a small guy coming up. Those are bad signs for a fighter, and you know, Prograis up there in age now too. But they've settled down a little bit in this second round. If Prograis can start getting a read on Benn, that's a nice counter left hand there from Prograis. I don't think it landed. I think it just hit Benn's glove, but it was a good idea. Anyway, that's round 2 done. Interesting first couple of rounds. Eldon Joe, big up, he says Benn looks poor. Kira Malcolm says Prograis been unsteady on his legs all fight. I think he's injured. You know what? That could be it. That could be it. Maybe he wasn't as hurt as he appeared to be. Maybe it's an injury. Because Eddie Hearn was... But then again, Eddie Hearn would say that, right? Eddie Hearn would try to say that Prograis is injured, because even if Conor Benn wins, he can then downplay the victory. I mean, when I say downplay the victory, my perception going into this fight is that Regis Prograis washed, and he's a 140-pounder, career 140-pounder. So if Conor Benn beats him, it's no real big deal to me. But, you know, it's not like Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn are best friends anymore. So anyway, here we go. Round number 3. Bell's just gone. Regis Prograis, Conor Benn. Prograis looking to land that. And yeah, looking at his legs now, they do look shaky. So, I mean, he never had great punch resistance for the past couple years. If you include some kind of leg issue as well, well, that's double the problems, isn't it, for Regis Prograis? Both guys trying to feint each other out of position, particularly Conor Benn. He likes to feint a lot. Draw the lead, come with a counter. There's a right hand again from Benn. Feinting, moving around the target. Benn going for the right hand, but not quite hitting its mark. Prograis just trying to stay calm. He's the smoother fighter, Regis Prograis, for sure. Definitely the more fluid of the two. Conor Benn, herky-jerky, trying to flash a jab there. Prograis looking for that left hand down the middle. Will he find it? And if he does find it, will it have any effect on Benn? I mean, he's landed it a couple of times, but, you know, as the fight progresses, maybe he lands it more solidly. Maybe Benn gets a bit tired. Will it have an effect or not? Okay, Regis Prograis flashing a southpaw jab there. Neither guy really landing much here. Throwing shots out there and missing a lot. Okay, that was a decent jab from Conor Benn. The left hand from Prograis, I think, hit Conor Benn on the glove or the chest. Yeah, Prograis seems to be dragging his back leg, his left leg. And look, Prograis has always been somewhat unorthodox. I think he took up boxing quite late. But the legs there, I don't know. They don't look the greatest. But if you get an opportunity like this, when you're at the stage of the career that Regis Prograis is at, it's hard to turn it down, isn't it? Unless you've already had a Hall of Fame career or something, and you've already made, you know, tens of millions, then you're probably going to take it. All right, Regis Prograis calling Conor Benn on. Made Benn miss a couple shots. Yeah, Conor Benn has a very high energy style. There's the last 10 seconds of the round. Right hand there from Benn. All right, that's the end of the round. What are you guys making of this fight so far? Kayvon Green says looks like a torn ACL. Wave says, did Benn always look this novice-y? Yeah, he did. But I think with Benn, because he's lost all that weight, it makes him look less solid in his movements. And that's what is making him look more novice-y than normal. Lexio says Benn looks out of ideas already. He might be out of ideas already, but Prograis' legs don't seem to be under him, so it might not really matter. Okay, here we go, round 4. Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis. Again, I expected Conor Benn to win this fight by stoppage because of the fact he's the naturally bigger man, and Prograis has looked very vulnerable as far as punch resistance over the past few years. He's up there in age. There's no catch weight or anything in this fight. All the advantages of Conor Benn. But maybe Regis Prograis can prove me wrong here. Okay, David A says there's a cut on one of the fighters. Who is it? Okay, Conor Benn's cut. Wow. Wow, was that from a punch or a clash of heads? That's an interesting turn of events now. Conor Benn cut. That's surely going to spur Regis Prograis on, especially since the cut lines up nicely with his southpaw left. So he's going to be targeting that cut now. Conor Benn unleashing a combination. Conor Benn looking very uncomfortable here. Ever since that cut, he's looking very uncomfortable. Takes a right jab from Prograis. That was a decent jab there from Benn. But yeah, Regis Prograis definitely spurred on by the sight of blood from Benn. And Benn anxious. Nice right hand there from Benn though. Jabs. Benn actually starting to back up now. He was the aggressor up until that point. But now it's Regis Prograis coming forward, which is actually the way that Regis Prograis traditionally likes to fight. He likes to come forward, walk you down. He's more of an aggressive southpaw, Regis Prograis. He's not like the stereotypical slick southpaw on the back foot. He likes to come forward and take it to you. Not an out-and-out pressure fighter, but, you know, an aggressive boxer puncher. That's how I describe Regis Prograis. Makes Conor Benn miss a couple shots there. Left hand to the body from Prograis. Yeah, Conor Benn looking increasingly uncomfortable in this fight. Interesting turn of events with the cut. I'd like to see whether it was a clash of heads or a punch that caused it. Left hand from Prograis. Just short of its mark. Benn comes back with a 1-2. But Prograis definitely, in terms of body language, looks the more confident, or at least the more relaxed of the two. Benn actually trying to box his way around Prograis now. Hopping a jab, moving, trying to be more active in there, and he's definitely the more active fighter. That's what I will say. Chili Beef, that's a good spot. He says, get your popcorn ready, is behind turkey. Is that right, Richard Schaefer? Dominica says Dana wants a refund. Can you imagine? 50 mil for that. That's the end of the round. Andrew says Zuffa better hope Steve Collins has a son because Conor can't beat actual champions. Well, Steve Collins does have a son. He had a cruiserweight son that didn't reach a particularly high level. I forget what his name was. Anybody remember Steve Collins' son? Was he called Steve Collins Jr.? But he was a cruiserweight. Matt Borgerson says breathing heavy. Yeah, he is. I think there's a lot of anxiety there for Benn. I think he was anxious coming into the fight because of the perception of him. Wow, it was caused by a punch apparently. Let's have a look. No, it was a head. No, it was a head clash. It was a head clash. It wasn't a punch that caused it. It was a head clash. Accidental head clash. Okay, here we go. Round number 5. Regis Prograis targeting Conor Benn's body with the left hand. Saw that in the replay. And he also came out at the start of the round and tried that left hand to the body. Okay, Conor Benn opening up a little bit here. Regis Prograis shaking his gloves like, nope. I blocked those shots. Prograis' face looking a little red too, though. Conor Benn trying to be aggressive here, letting some shots go. I haven't seen Conor Benn fight so anxiously. Maybe since the first Cedric Payno fight. He looks very anxious here. In fact, he was anxious in the... Let me walk that back. He was anxious in the early rounds against Eubank Jr. He was very anxious. But similarly anxious here, maybe more so. Okay, some rough stuff on the inside here with Prograis and Benn. And this is going to look even worse on Benn if he struggles in this fight or even loses. The fact that Prograis clearly is compromised. I mean, he's a smaller guy. He's chinny. He's old. And he may well be injured. And if Conor Benn struggles with him or loses, yeah, it's an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. Right hand there from Benn was partially blocked by Prograis, but Prograis pressing the action now. Guzi says Benn loses it if it goes 12. Well, it's only a 10-rounder. Nice left there from Prograis. Left to the body there from Benn. So what we've got at the moment is quality versus quantity. Conor Benn has definitely got the quantity, but Prograis landing the better, more solid single shots. There's a left hand that landed on Conor Benn's neck from Prograis. Some body shots from Prograis. Nice punches. But yeah, Prograis' legs, there must be an injury there. As people were talking about pre-fight, the rumor going around that Prograis was injured. The legs look shaky from Prograis. Conor Benn fighting very anxiously. Letting shots go, but not much confidence behind the shots. Has Conor Benn resigned himself already to trying to win the fight on points? Because he doesn't appear to be fighting his usual aggressive fight, going for the knockout. Trying to play it safe. There's the end of round 5. Halfway through this one, remember folks, it's a 10-rounder. WPW says no power off the juice. Okay, so we got Luke Partridge backstage with a enormous waistline. He's got RIP Ricky on the shorts, and he's wearing the Man City colors as a tribute to Ricky Hatton. Connor Williams says Benn is even more trash than I thought. You know, there's a thing in psychology about self-sabotage. Sometimes a person with a guilty conscience, that's assuming Conor Benn has a conscience, but if he has a conscience, sometimes somebody with a guilty conscience can self-sabotage. You know, their subconscious starts working against them. Their subconscious is telling them you don't deserve success, you know? There's an aspect of them that thinks they need to be punished, or they need to punish themselves for what they've done to somebody. Is that the case with Conor Benn? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a idea, as a possibility. Anyway, we are in round 6 into the second half of this fight between Benn and Prograis. Rough stuff on the inside. Conor Benn putting his head into Regis Prograis' face. Big up Mr. Luca for the super chat. He says, how does Catterall Benn go? I mean, Catterall completely boxes Conor Benn's head off. That's not even a fight. Based on this, I mean, Catterall absolutely boxes his head off. For me, Catterall's a lot better than Prograis. We got Mr. Luca. And Catterall's got some pop as well. Okay, uppercut from Benn. That was a decent shot. And kind of a little bit of a Mike Tyson. Uppercut to the body, uppercut to the head. Oh, left hand from Benn. Prograis shakes his head. No, you didn't hurt me. David Hayes got Conor Benn 1 point up on his scorecard. He's got Regis Prograis winning the last 2 rounds. It's definitely been a competitive fight, I can tell you that. And this is a bad look for Conor Benn because Regis Prograis hasn't looked great. It's just that Conor Benn's looked even worse. Well, let me not say even worse, but just as bad or barely any better. Because Conor Benn conceivably might be ahead in this fight, like legitimately. Because although he looks uncomfortable, although his work is not very high quality, Prograis isn't landing much. You know, he's landing the occasional shot here and there, but he's not landing much. If we're going to be fair about it. Oh wow, apparently Conor Benn's cutting the other eye now. Is that right? Or is it just blood splattered from the first cut? Yeah, Nigel Benn at ringside looking very anxious. Kylie says karma is a real thing. Aljo says hers got a wide grin on his face. Is that what threw Conor Benn off? Eddie Hearn at ringside, you know? That's a low shot there from Prograis. Referee says keep it up. Benn tries to answer back with a low shot of his own. Conor Benn's still bouncing around, but other than that first round, he hasn't put a dent in Regis Prograis. Crimson Mask, indeed. Big up Chili Beef. We got Matt Borgerson for the super chat. It says, Andre Ward is sounding clueless right now. Yeah, I don't really like Andre Ward as a commentator, but in the Riakporhe fight, when he said that wasn't a premature stoppage, it was a premature stoppage. That was definitely a premature stoppage. And David Hayes having a bit of a mare as well, because in the Justice Hooney-Fraser Clark fight, he referred to Justice Hooney as a big puncher. I was like, you having a laugh? He said that Fraser Clark's got a great chin, Justice Hooney's a tremendous puncher. What? Yeah, Benn is indeed cut on both eyes now. So he's definitely having a mare. Big up Matt Borgerson. He says, missed both shots on Regis and they say Regis is hurt. Big up Matt Borgerson. Anyway, here we go, round number 7. 4 rounds to go in this 150 pound, catch weight fight between Regis Prograis, former world champion at 140 pounds, and Conor Benn. 30 seconds into the 7th. Benn's still got plenty of energy, but it's nervous energy. It's anxious energy. It's not confident energy. Conor Benn dirty there with the head. Tempers flaring between these two. Body shots from Conor Benn. Regis Prograis, again, the more calm fighter. That's that experience. And also the lack of pressure. Nobody expected Regis Prograis to do anything in this fight, including myself. If I'm being honest, I do think Conor Benn's probably ahead just because he's throwing 3 or 4 shots to every 1 shot that Prograis throwing. Not like they're all landing, but some of them are landing, at least partially so. I haven't been scoring it round by round, but the impression I have is that Conor Benn probably is ahead, like legitimately ahead, but he's struggling. It's a very scrappy fight, and he's just trying to scrap his way through it. He's rushing his work. He's not really trying to set any punch up. Okay, there's some good body shots there from Conor Benn on the inside. Regis Prograis didn't like those. He's trying to hang on. Somebody says Conor Benn not been having any eggs in training camp. That was a nice body shot again from Benn. He's found a home for that right to the body. Another shot from Benn, but Prograis actually caught him at the same time simultaneously with a headshot. Yeah, Prograis is getting bothered by them body shots, definitely. Conor Benn has found something finally in the fight that's actually working well. Prograis' legs don't look right at all. He's kind of stumbling in the middle of the ring there without even being hit. Slashing shots from Benn. Right hand to the body from Benn. This is probably the most convincing round that Benn has had in the fight so far. Another right hand to the body from Benn. That's the end of round 7. That's a nice left hand there. Looking at the slow-mo replay. Nice left hand from Prograis. Beautiful shot. Yeah, Prograis definitely landed the better quality punches all the way through the fight. But I just don't think there's been enough of them. He's the older fighter. He appears to be an injured fighter. So you can't really ask too much from him. But big up Matt for the super chat. He says, Ben Sr. seems upset on it going the distance. Big up Matt Borgerson. He certainly seems stressed out there. Here we go, round number 8 between Conor Benn and Regis Prograis. Conor Benn's still got plenty of energy in there. And Regis Prograis doesn't exactly look knackered. He hasn't thrown that many, do you know what I mean, to be knackered. But he certainly shipped a lot of body shots in the last round, so that might have an effect on him. We'll see. Both fighters marked up. Prograis, a lot of grazes on his face. Conor Benn cut over both eyes. Combination there from Benn. Prograis blocked most of them, but I think the left hand maybe partially got through. Prograis' activity is dropping right off now. Yeah, maybe those body shots in the previous round did have an effect on him. Because far less animated now. Conor Benn getting the jab going there. Regis Prograis trying to look for counters. Benn going for the body shot again. Yeah, big body attack again from Conor Benn with a left hand this time. Right hand to the body from Benn. Keeps going back downstairs. And that's the thing to do. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you find something that's working, keep doing it. But obviously watch out that your opponent doesn't spot a pattern that he can time. Prograis leading off with a left hand there, but was well short of the mark. 1:15 left in round number 8. Can Regis Prograis do something here to pull out an upset win. Conor Benn has not looked impressive for those of you who are just tuning in. He did manage to wobble Regis Prograis at the back end of round 1, a round that he lost otherwise. But since then, Benn has fought in a very anxious fashion, rushing his work, very scrappy, not much clean landing other than in the last round with the body shots. But he's dominating in this round for sure. Prograis' activity is just dropping way off. And I have to imagine that's got something to do with the body work from Conor Benn. You got Chris Eubank Jr. at ringside laughing. What's he laughing about? Share the joke. Yeah, it's crazy waved. How is Conor Benn not knocking out a one-legged 40-year-old Regis? It is crazy. Okay, that's the end of round number 8. 2 rounds to go. Andrew says Regis don't have the power to hurt Benn. Yeah, he hasn't appeared to hurt him. He is a smaller man moving up. And also, if his legs are injured, then that's obviously going to affect his power too. Big up Ray Carl Brown. He says he's got the fight on. Okay, here we go. Round 9. Conor Benn, Regis Prograis. Conor Benn probably in a pretty comfortable lead at this stage, but it has not been an impressive performance. He's in there against an old, probably shot fighter who appears to be injured as well. And he's had a bit more trouble than he really should have had. David Hayes got it 78-74 for Conor Benn. Prograis still game, but he seems to be inhibited by some type of knee injury, which presumably he came into the fight with. That's a body shot there from Benn. And Benn has only really managed to get hold of this fight in the past 2 rounds, and it was because of a body attack in the 7th. That slowed Prograis all the way down. I mean, Prograis' punch output weren't great all the way through the fight, but it reduced to a virtual standstill after that 7th. Prograis poking some jabs out, does manage to land the left hand to Conor Benn's body. Yeah, Conor Benn's still got plenty of energy at 150, but we haven't seen any real power from him for several years, anywhere close to 147. He slept Chris Algieri, he stopped Chris Van Heerden. That was a good body shot from Benn there, David A called it. Very good Summers boxing. He says, Benn not living up to expectations. Didn't. Very good. WizKid says Josh Kelly would beat Benn now. Yeah, Adam Booth and Josh Kelly himself, Eddie Hearn, they all very much fancy that fight, and you can see why from this. And you know, it's just as well that Conor Benn is a gimmick fighter. That's what he's basically set himself up to be now, isn't it? He's not really interested in titles or anything like that, or trying to prove himself to be the best. Maybe that's the wise move. Because he don't look great here, does he? Prograis just slipping on the canvas there. Again, Prograis' back leg Seems all types are jacked up. So looks like the fight is going to go the distance here. Coming towards the end of round number 9. For those who don't know, this is only a 10-rounder. There's the bell. Wave says, does Zuffa think this is a $15 million fighter? But was it really all about Benn, or was it about flexing on Eddie Hearn? Wow, we got Turk Yellow Shake next to Frank Warren there. Okay. Have they kissed and made up? Turk Yellow Shake was kind of trolling Frank Warren, giving him a thumbs down. That's quite funny. What's happening with that lawsuit? Have they smoothed it out, or is that still going to go ahead? Okay, here we go. Final round, Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis. Prograis spamming the right jab in the opening seconds of round number 10. Okay, gets bundled to the canvas by Benn. Yeah, Benn rightfully getting a warning from the referee, just shoving his man over like that. The action resumes. Conor Benn's hair looking like a bowl of noodles. Chris Eubank Jr. on his phone, not even watching the action. Regis Prograis still there. Again, he's not winning this fight, but he's done well enough to make Conor Benn look bad. Yeah, not much happening in this 12th round. Both guys moving their heads, jockeying for position, looking for an angle to get a hook off, or in the case of Prograis, a southpaw backhand. Prograis beckoning Conor Benn into the corner. Just over halfway through the 10th now. This is the final round of the fight. Yeah, Conor Benn cut over both eyes. Certainly one of those cuts was from an accidental clash of heads. Almost another clash of heads there. The heads have been butting a lot in this fight, like a pair of billy goats. It's just the way they fight. Both guys put their full head down and they come in going for body shots and hooks and whatnot. I don't think it's anything deliberate for the most part anyway. There might be one or two incidents where there was some naughty head work going on there. Pause. Conor Benn on the outside, flashing a jab. Big up Charles B in the chat. It says Conor Benn, poor display from Benn. Yeah, very poor display. And Circle says Benn is a bum. So this one will go the distance. 10 seconds left now in the final round. There's the final bell. People are saying Conor Benn got 15 million for this. Well, did he get 15 million for this? That's the question. Because Eddie Hearn has been inferring that he isn't getting 15 million for this, and in fact the 15 million is part of a multi-fight deal, and if he can prove that, then he might actually be able to sue them. Zuffa, that is. Ray Carl Brown says, easy win for Benn, but not spectacular to be honest. Wave says he got booed off. Noisehead says, Dana looking for his receipt. Yeah, he wants a refund. MC says he's got no power since he got caught on the eggs. Mr. Lucas says, hey man, what did you think of the ticket prices? So there was some cheap tickets, right? Because that's a very bad cut. I'm just looking at Conor Benn's cut here over his right eye. That's a very, very bad cut. Yeah, there were some very cheap tickets going late on, but obviously they're way up in the nosebleed seats. Isaac says it wasn't a bad performance, just that people thought Benn would blow out Prograis. Well, it depends on how you look at it. For me, it was a bad performance. Yeah, I did think Benn would knock Prograis out, I did. But even without knocking Prograis out, I thought it was a bad performance. You know, like, put the knockout thing aside. Benn was very anxious. He was rushing his shots. He was wasting loads of punches. He didn't look confident. He had a guy in there against Prograis who clearly had some type of leg injury, and Conor Benn wasn't able to take advantage. So I thought it was a bad performance. Yeah, it should be a UD for Benn. He definitely won the fight. Yeah, Conor Benn's got the decision. There was no question about that. But he was very, very anxious in there. Very, very anxious, very ragged. Isaac says, I disagree. Prograis had no injury. That's how he moves. Well, I don't know. There was talk that he had injury before the fight. If you say that's just how he moves. Conor Benn managed to have Prograis on wobbly legs at the back end of the first round, right? Why didn't he manage to do that for the rest of the fight? He was rushing his work. He looked anxious. There was no confidence there. Goozy says pressure got to Benn, in my opinion. Yeah, it could have been the pressure. Could have been the pressure. It was a very, I keep repeating, I'm spamming the word anxious now, but that's how it looked to me. It just looked very, very anxious. That's right. Looks like a pot noodle. Fights like a pot noodle. Richard Draper says, Prograis' leg buckled before the punch at the end of the first. It was an injury. Yeah, I tend to suspect he was injured, based upon what I saw. I tend to suspect he was injured, and there was certainly a lot of talk before the fight that he was injured. Yeah, there was definitely a punch, but what someone just said there in the chat is that his legs were wobbly even before the punch. One thing I have liked about this show, and I generally like the Netflix production on these boxing shows, and one thing I've liked on the show is that they've kept it moving quick. There hasn't been a big long wait between fights, at least it hasn't seemed like that to me. They've kept it pushing. Wave says they didn't even give him a post-fight interview. They know how bad the performance was. Well, I'm glad, to be honest, because I'm not really interested in hearing what he has to say. I'd rather they just get the main event on between Partridge and Makhmudov. So I'm going to reiterate my view on Partridge Makhmudov. I think Partridge wins this fight comfortably. Obviously, he's been down a lot of times, and he's been down at the hands of lesser fighters than Makhmudov in the past. I mean, you know, people like, God, what was the guy called now? Nevin Pikage back in the days? Francis Ngannou. Lesser fighters than Makhmudov have put Partridge on the floor, but he's always got up to win, other than against Usyk. So, you know, Partridge, unless, and he has been guilty in the past of fighting to the level of his opposition. When he doesn't feel any fear, he's one of these guys that finds it hard sometimes to feel motivated and feel as sharp as he needs to produce his best form. But if we get Partridge at even 60%, that should be far too much for Makhmudov. Matt says, felt depressed the other day and tried that technique you said about saying Luke Partridge a few times. Works a treat. See it there? It's foolproof. Luke Partridge. One thing I'll say though, although obviously I see Partridge as a massive favorite in this fight, one thing I will say is that apparently Makhmudov has been chasing the Partridge fight and has wanted this fight for years. I mean, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would really study someone, but, you know, maybe I'm selling him short. He was, you know, he had an extensive amateur background, very extensive, Makhmudov. But sometimes when you go in there against the guy who's been studying you for years, and you haven't been studying him at all, even if you're supposed to beat him and you're way better than him, he might make it more difficult for you than people expect, you know? Big up FIFA for the super chat. It says Makhmudov has to go for it early for me. I think Makhmudov just needs to outwork Partridge. That's what he needs to try and do. Because Makhmudov, in case you didn't realize, threw apparently over 1,000 punches against Dave Allen. That's crazy. 1,000 punches for a heavyweight is a very high number, if that's actually true. In fact, let me look that up on CompuBox, see if they've got it. If he threw 1,000 punches against Dave Allen, that's mad. Is that even true? Let me look it up on the fly here. Makhmudov, Allen. If he threw 1,000 punches in that fight, then that's the game plan for him right there. Just try and outwork Partridge. Let me have a look here. I don't see the CompuBox numbers here. Okay, Buffer is calling Makhmudov to the ring now. Yeah, I don't see any, hang on, is this it? No, that's not it. I don't see the stats for Makhmudov Allen. But if it's true that he threw 1,000 punches, Makhmudov, in that fight, then that's what he needs to try to do here. Just let his hands go, throw. Keep a tight guard, and just try to outwork Partridge if he can. He's obviously not going to outbox him. Jerry Berry says Makhmudov by DQ. So Makhmudov walking to the ring now. He's got that neck twitch going. A shout out to Bogdan Dinu. Not the real Bogdan Dinu, but a guy who uses the name Bogdan Dinu in my Element group. He referred to Makhmudov as Fee Fi Fo Fum. He does look like that, doesn't he? When his boxing career is over, he's got a typecast role there as a giant in any fantasy movie. Fee Fi Fo Fum. Big up FIFA. He says early volume may cause problems after ring rust. So Makhmudov just came out to air raid sirens. No music. That's interesting. Is it some kind of edgy statement he's trying to make now about his country? I don't know. Just came out to the sound of air raid sirens. That's it. Bombs away, right? Marcus says it's a Russian thing. Okay, here we go. Partridge coming to the ring now. The tribute to Ricky Hatton. He's got the Man City colors on, a Ricky Hatton inspired outfit. Coming out to Blue Moon. Someone says Fury looks a little nervous there to me. Yeah, he looks a bit nervous to me too. I'm not even going to lie. I agree, FIFA. He does look a bit nervous in the face, doesn't he? That's weird. Because he's really not a nervous fighter, you know, or he hides his nerves well or uses his nerves to his advantage. Okay, Joshua says, I think he's crying for Ricky. Mike says, not the kind of energy you want for a ring walk, to be honest. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Bit somber, innit? FIFA says, feel like there might be drama here, you know. If there is, a lot of people want, and Turkey Al Sheikh already said, or strongly alluded to earlier on in the evening, Anthony Joshua versus Luke Partridge, aka Tyson Fury. If Partridge gets past this, if Partridge don't get past this, was the AJ fight always doomed to never happen? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, let me switch the visuals. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot to switch the visuals. There we go. Thank you very much for reminding me. Big up. Big up, Dominica. So, Partridge walking to the ring now. He should deal with Makhmudov without too much trouble. Makhmudov is so stiff. He's so slow. I don't think he's ever moved his head in his whole life. If Partridge has even 60% of himself, he should win this comfortably. But it is heavyweight boxing. Stuff happens, as we all know, historically. And, you know, Partridge has always been one of these guys that needs a perceived threat in order to get the best out of himself. But maybe with the crowd here, he won't need that perceived threat. Maybe the crowd will lift him and give him the buzz that he needs to get the best out of himself. We'll see. It's a very protracted ring walk here. I wish he'd just get in the ring. All right, so Partridge comes running to the ring like he did when he fought Dylan White. Was it in this same stadium when he fought Dylan White, or was that at Wembley? I forget now. Joshua Hooker says it was at Wembley. Okay. We got President Brush. You know, one of the things about Partridge, which is very impressive, is the amount of energy he has for such a huge man. It's very, very unusual for a guy that size to have that level of energy. Big up Striker, he says, I sense this won't be totally straightforward. Okay, we'll see. Sometimes you can just feel it in the air like Phil Collins, you know? We feel it coming in the air tonight like Phil Collins. Pause. Wave says Fury knocks him out early, in my opinion. He says, I think people forget how stiff Makhmudov is. Yeah, he's very stiff, bro. And that's what we're all hoping for, Mighty Meatball. We're hoping he introduces him as Partridge. Oh, excuse me, yes. Kara Malcolm says, how do I locate the chat in the Element group? If you're on Patreon, on my most recent post, just or you can leave it in the live chat now. Just give me your username for Element and I'll add you. Big up Kira Malcolm for the super chat. Big up Joe. Lucas says, anyone see Derek's shirt? No, I didn't. What's on his shirt? Yeah, regarding Partridge's height, after they weighed in, he was talking to David Hay. In fact, was it after they weighed in? Yeah, I think it was after they weighed in. He was talking to some interviewer anyway after they weighed in. And he said, there's no way Makhmudov is 6'5". He's as big as me. 6'5" on his knees, maybe. So even Partridge himself had to acknowledge that the height difference between the two of them isn't as big as it should be if Partridge is really 6'9". I think Makhmudov is actually 6'5.5". That's what he's listed as. 6'5.5", 6'6", and Partridge is about 6'7.5". I reckon there's maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches in height difference between them. D-Dub says that man make Luke Partridge name popular. Hopefully. Oh, wow. Is that what Derek's t-shirt said? Retirement is for, let's just say, wussies. Big up Av Sounds. Yes, big up gang. Marcus says, I'm rooting for the underdog. But aren't some people conflicted? Okay, there's a lot of people that don't like Partridge for good reason. But if he loses this fight, are people not conflicted about there being no AJ fight after it if he loses this? Maybe some people don't care about the AJ fight, and that's cool. It's too washed up. Well, let me not say Partridge is washed up, but AJ I think is washed up. That's my perception of him anyway. Dominica says, Warren fist bump Turkey still suing. Okay, Makhmudov getting roundly booed. He's got Mark Ramsey in the corner, his longtime trainer. Yep, fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Been based there his whole pro career, I think. Fighting out of the same team as Artur Beterbiev. Well, actually, Beterbiev moved. Well, he was promoted by Yvonne Michelle Beterbiev. Is he still trained by Mark Ramsey? I forget now. All right, Buff has just introduced Makhmudov. He's being booed roundly by a lot of Partridge fans. Oh, wow. D-Dub says everyone was calling him that in the live presses and weigh-in streams on the boxing channels. Luke Partridge. Yeah, Makhmudov's always had that weird neck twitch. That's his weird idiosyncrasy. So Partridge now fighting out of the Isle of Man. Is that for tax purposes? So we got Dr. Eggman, aka Dr. Robotnik, Spencer Brown in the ring there. I like to call him Clandestino. All right. They're facing off before the opening bell here. Partridge and Makhmudov. I'm expecting Partridge to win comfortable, but it's heavyweight boxing. You never know. Partridge did have a problem with Ngannou. He did have a problem with Nevin Pikage back in the day. Could he have a problem here against a limited opponent? About to find out. Seconds out. There's a bell for round one. Makhmudov is the first to strike with a left jab to the body. Partridge answers back with a jab to the body. Partridge looking blubbery around the waist as usual. Okay, Makhmudov comes steaming in with a two-fisted attack. Partridge wraps him up. Makhmudov keeping his chin down. Jabbing to the body of Partridge. Partridge looking like he's got a life raft around his waist. Makhmudov with a swinging left hand, which Partridge easily evades. Yeah, Makhmudov keeping that chin super glued to his chest at the moment. Right hand to the body from Makhmudov. Partridge turns southpaw. Swinging right hand from Makhmudov. Again, very slow and clumsy. But Partridge is not exactly looking his sharpest at the minute. Very relaxed, of course. Out of the southpaw stance. Feinting at Makhmudov. Makhmudov not going for the feints as of yet. Pushes Partridge back to the ropes. Bulls his way in, but nothing solid lands. But Partridge definitely hasn't found his timing yet, I can say that. Because Makhmudov not going for the feints. Okay, that was a nice left hand there on the way in from Partridge. Because Partridge does like people to go for his feints. Whereas Makhmudov is not. I mean, he was an experienced amateur, Makhmudov. Very experienced. Jab there from Partridge. Makhmudov blocks him. He's back in the orthodox stance now. Partridge looking to establish that range. He's definitely got the longer arms. He is slightly taller. Makhmudov, again, rushes in crudely. Partridge wraps him up. So, the style's not really gelling at the minute. Referee warning Makhmudov for reckless use of the head on the way in. Partridge trying to get a jab going. Nothing significant landed by either man so far in this first round. 40 seconds to go. Right hand from Makhmudov wasn't too far off. Yeah, Partridge not looking particularly sharp here. Let's be real. Big up Matt, he agrees. He says Fury doesn't look good already. And as I said before the opening bell, he always has been one of those guys. Oh, Makhmudov not too far away with a right hand there. Partridge wraps him up. Yeah, Partridge has always been one of these guys who needs to fear his opponent in order to get the best out of himself. Okay, jabs there from Partridge, but he doesn't look particularly sharp here. Okay, end of the first round, pretty uneventful. Big up Matt Borgerson, he says Fury knows her already. Is it? Let me have a look at him in the corner here. Oh dear, we got Gary Lineker. He's a donut if ever I've seen one. In the crowd there. Matt says Fury getting caught, hat man. I didn't see him get caught with anything there, really. I saw Makhmudov get close with a couple right hands, but I didn't see anything land clean. But yeah, there is some damage to the nose, so you must be right. He must have been caught with something there. Bloody nose. Okay, yeah, right hand did kind of catch Partridge, and so did his head. There wasn't really much on it, but... And the head, yeah, the head crashed into Partridge's face. And that's maybe what the referee warned him about. Here we go, round number 2. Makhmudov versus Luke Partridge, a.k.a. Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King. Right hand there from Makhmudov, coming forward. 1-2 there from Partridge was a good shot. Right jab on the way in from Partridge was a good shot. But one thing you can see here, folks, is when Partridge is in there against somebody close to his own height that is willing to close the distance relatively quick, he doesn't look that clever, does he, Partridge? Because normally he's fighting people who are so much shorter than him and they have to work really hard to get close. But here he's fighting someone close to his own height and they're able to close the distance pretty quick. And it's not like Makhmudov is fleet-footed at all, but he's able to get close fast, you know? That's a nice jab there from Partridge. Loosening up a little bit here. Nice jabs there. Big up Chris for the super chat. He says, hilarious, you're using Partridge in the commentary. Big swing and a miss there from Makhmudov. So Makhmudov definitely showing a lot of physical strength here. I mean, we all knew he was physically strong, but he's the one pushing Partridge back in the clinches. So, you know, that Russian bear wrestling strength is serving him quite well here, isn't it? Nice jab there from Partridge, but Makhmudov jabs back quite well himself. Very, very crude attack from Makhmudov. His feet are so slow, he almost dove in head first to try and land the right hand over the top. Very, very crude attacks, but Archer's not looking particularly sharp tonight. Ooh, right hand from Makhmudov, just missed by a whisker. The right hand from Partridge, I don't think landed clean. Makhmudov dangerous with the head. I think that Partridge is actually a little anxious here. There's a 1-2 from Partridge, almost gets caught with a left hook on the counter. Can you imagine? Makhmudov countering. Makhmudov knows what a counter is. 1-2 there from Partridge was blocked by Makhmudov. I think he might have got Makhmudov's respect there. Ooh, massive swing and a miss there from Partridge. He gets Makhmudov up against the ropes. Makhmudov comes back with a left hook. Big up Matt Borges, and he says Fury looks very off and hurt. All good shots there from Partridge. From the southpaw position. Makhmudov breathing hard after those shots landed. Now he's on the back foot. Yeah, nice shots at the end of the round there from Luke Partridge. Connor Williams says Makhmudov's pants are huge. Yeah, he always wears them huge pants. They're like hip-hop shorts from the late 90s. You know when it got to the stage in hip-hop fashion where people were just wearing ridiculously big clothes? Like t-shirts that were damn near dresses. Shorts that went down to your ankles. Sugar Hill telling Partridge that Makhmudov is tiring out already. He was certainly blowing hard after those shots landed from Partridge towards the end of the round. But yeah, wow. Makhmudov actually landed a left hook on the counter. Can you imagine? Makhmudov landing counters, that's crazy. Okay, here we go, round number 3 between Luke Partridge and Arslanbek Makhmudov. I thought that Partridge, particularly towards the end of the round, started finding his range and timing a little bit. But he certainly didn't look particularly sharp in the first round, or first round and a half even. So here we are in round number 3, 23 seconds in. There's definitely some rust there for Partridge. He's switch hitting a lot here, which I think is testament to how limited Makhmudov is. Because against real top level operators, Partridge barely does that. But here he's switch hitting constantly. So he's jabbing from the southpaw stance there, switches back to orthodox. Jabbing, jabbing. Yeah, he's finding his rhythm now, Partridge. Still has to be alert to those crude attacks from Makhmudov. And Partridge now can start maybe picking certain shots, because he's going to read Makhmudov's moves, the angles in which he's coming in at. Maybe he can start timing certain punches. There's a right hand from Partridge. Makhmudov trying to put his head on Partridge's chest, which is really the thing to do on the inside. Yeah, Makhmudov doing what he does. One thing I would say is that, I mean, we all knew Makhmudov was physically strong, but I was kind of curious to see who would be the stronger on the inside. And at the minute, Makhmudov appears to have a bit more strength up close than Partridge. Oh, good shots from Partridge on the inside. Is Makhmudov troubled? Good body shot there from Partridge. Makhmudov on the back foot. Yeah, Partridge, right hand there from Partridge. Makhmudov almost came back with a left hook. Attempted a left hook, but it missed. Good right hand from Partridge there. Nice shot. Yeah, he appears to be getting control of the fight now, as he should against this level of opponent. If he even has 60% of himself, he should be dealing with Makhmudov comfortably. Nice inside body shots there from Partridge. Big right hand there at the end of the round from Partridge. That was a big round for him. Good round for him. His best round of the fight. Matt says Makhmudov's right hand is very short. It's because his feet are so slow. He can't get his feet into position quick enough to actually get full extension on the right hand. His feet are not underneath him when the right hand goes out there. He's just too slow of foot. So you've got Anna Woolhouse working for Netflix this evening, talking to AJ at ringside. Dominica says Makhmudov has given up. Terrible. Big up Matt Borges, and he says Joshua needing a tune-up for Fury is not needed. Big up President Brush, he says Fury planning a white uppercut watch. Yeah, could well be. I felt there was some ring rust in the first couple rounds there for Partridge, but he's found, oh, that's a left hand there from Makhmudov. Oh dear. That actually seemed to have an effect. Hey, Partridge can't be too silly. He got caught with a left hook there. He's in there with a very limit. Ooh. Okay, big shots from Makhmudov there. Partridge needs to be careful. Again, storming the beach. That's right. And again, one thing I'll say about Makhmudov, he does appear to be very physically strong, doesn't he? Because Partridge is strong himself, but Makhmudov appears to be having a better of it when they tie up. Ooh, good right hand from Makhmudov was partially blocked, but there seemed to be a decent amount. Ooh, left hook from Makhmudov. Oh my days. How is he coming back in this round? What's going on? What is going on? I thought Partridge had it under control. Okay, Partridge feinting there. Jabs, nice jabs from Partridge. Going for the uppercut. Why is he letting Makhmudov back in this round? Ooh, right hand from Makhmudov wasn't too far off. Partridge coming back with his own right, getting Makhmudov in a headlock there. Trying to tame the wild Russian bear. The Russian wild man who's bleeding from his nose now, Makhmudov. Nice body shot there from Partridge. Can he tame the wild man from the Russian tundra? Ooh, nice 1-2 from Partridge. But Makhmudov has clearly been working on that counter left hook. He must have seen that in the Ngannou fight and thought, you know what, that's something I can emulate when I fight Partridge. Nice jabs there from Partridge. Makhmudov backing off here. Yeah, someone says Makhmudov not liking those body shots. That's what took him down against Ajit Kabayel, of course. The body shots. Did not like them body shots. And Partridge just tapping away on the inside. Even when they're tied up, he's tapping away with some little body shots. Good work from Partridge. That's the end of the round there. This is a nice little workout for Partridge. As long as it don't go belly up, it's a nice little workout for him. Just listen to what Mark Ramsey's telling Makhmudov in the corner. He's telling him to be first. He has to be first, yeah. The only counter he's got, or the only counter he's shown so far, is the left hook. So he's got to be first. And he did land a nice one there. It didn't really land on the knuckles. It kind of landed on the fingers, but it did catch Partridge, that left hook there. That was a nice shot. In fact, I think it left Partridge with some damage on the cheek, just below the eye. You guys noticed that? There's like a graze there from that left. Anyway, here we go. Round number 5. Luke Partridge versus Arslanbek Makhmudov. I expected Partridge to win this fight comfortably. But, you know, Father Time waits for no man. He's been out the ring a long time. He's coming off 2 losses, so you never know 100%. Partridge has won probably every round so far. I mean, you could argue the first for Makhmudov, but certainly the third and fourth have been for Partridge. But Makhmudov has looked dangerous at times here, because this is not vintage Partridge at the moment. Not as sharp, not as fast. Big up Matt Borges, and he says, I'm worried Partridge will get stopped. We shall see. It's a 12 rounder too. It's not a 10 rounder like some of the, or one of the fights on the undercard between Conor Benn and Regis Prograis. That was a 10 rounder. Okay, Partridge banging away to the body, and that's the thing to do. Clever from Partridge. But I do think that Makhmudov's physical strength is maybe bothering Partridge a little bit. Not like he didn't expect Makhmudov to be strong, but you never know exactly how strong somebody is until you get in the ring with him. And Makhmudov very, very strong in the clinch. So this is a clinch-filled round here. The fifth, Makhmudov with another crude attack. Comes swinging at Partridge. Again, little chopping shots going on the inside from Partridge. And those are good shots. Chop it away to the body, chop it away to the head. That's good stuff from Partridge. It might not look like much, but Makhmudov is not doing the same. Do you know what I mean? It's better to be landing something. Partridge turned southpaw. Oh, heads came close there. Did they clash heads? Hope nobody's cut. But this is the slowest round of the fight so far. Makhmudov has slowed right down, and it might be the effect of those little chopping body shots on the inside from Partridge. Partridge definitely wants the stoppage if he can get it. Jab there from Partridge. They tie up. Very, very messy round there. But the only one on the inside who's working is Luke Partridge. Oh, right hand. Another crude attack from Makhmudov. Partridge easily gets away. Goes back to Makhmudov's body. Some showboating between the two of them. That's the end of the round. Matt says Fury looks exhausted. Well, look, this obviously is not prime Luke Partridge. But as I've said previously, he's always been one of those guys that fights to the level of his opposition. He looked terrible against Ngannou, didn't he? And although he lost both Usyk fights, he looked a lot better in the Usyk fights than he looked against Ngannou. So he's just one of those kind of guys. He needs to feel some kind of fear in order to produce the best of himself. Most of the time, anyway. Okay, here we go. Makhmudov trying to answer back. Jabbing Partridge to the body. This is round 6. It's a 12 rounder. 10 seconds into the 6th. Let's see if Partridge can get the stoppage here. Comfortably ahead. For me anyway. Switch hitting. Nice body shot there from Partridge. Makhmudov didn't like that. Partridge trying to frustrate his man. Makhmudov swinging and missing. Yeah, he's definitely shaking off the rust, or he's still in the process of shaking off the rust, but it's coming off every round. You can see it. In that first round, you know, Partridge looked very, very rusty, but here, you can literally see the rust coming off almost by the second. It's certainly not vintage Gypsy King, but yeah, Makhmudov's punch output is almost non-existent now. And Partridge just looking to frustrate him rather than hurt him in this round. Doing everything from the outside. In the previous round, he was on the inside trying to land body shots. But this round, he's just trying to frustrate him with jabs, make him miss. Again, those body shots to the inside from Partridge. He might be able to stop Makhmudov here. If he just switches it up, you know, one round boxes like this, frustrates him, then the next round sticks it on him a little bit, he may be able to force the stoppage. Big up Matt Borges. He says Makhmudov is almost 40 if you didn't know. Yeah, he's up there in age too. I think he's only about a year younger than Partridge, a year or two. Partridge, I think, is, what is he, 37, 38? I think Makhmudov's a year younger. I mean, at this point, we're almost in Partridge, Pianetta territory, aren't we here? It's a similar kind of fight. Any of you guys remember when Partridge fought Pianetta, pre-Wilder? Similar territory. All right, that's the end of the round. Now, according to BoxRec, Matt, Makhmudov is actually 36. He's not 39. He's 36, according to BoxRec. Not that BoxRec don't make mistakes. They do, but according to BoxRec, he's 36. So he should be, yeah, a year younger than Partridge. Okay, here we go. Round number 7. Luke Partridge, Arslanbek, Makhmudov. Luke Partridge in full control now. He looked a little rusty in the early rounds, but he's managed to get hold of the fight. And he's now in full control. Easily reading Makhmudov's very crude attacks, slow feet, lack of punch variety. And he's settled into boxing now, because earlier on in the fight, he was actually trying to stand with Makhmudov a bit. But now he's thinking, nah, it's not worth the risk. Because he has been clipped a couple times by Makhmudov earlier on. But now he's thinking, nah, that's not worth it. Let me keep this fight long and try and sharpen my skills. Because this really should be a dress rehearsal for AJ, right? A shout out to Stephen Bell. He says, should we all have a whip round to buy Fury some shorts that fit him? Oh, left hook. Oh, big right hand for Makhmudov. Oh, dear. See, whenever Partridge... another right hand for Makhmudov. Whenever Partridge tries to stand with Makhmudov, he starts getting clipped. He needs to just keep it long then. Because he keeps getting... I mean, he took the shots well. But you don't need to be taking them kind of shots there with an AJ fight within touching distance. Big up Stephen Bell for the super chat. And based upon this performance, I mean, again, Partridge has always been a guy that fights to the level of his opposition. But if this version of Partridge turned up against AJ, I mean, it's not a mismatch, is it? Big up James Clifford for the super chat. He says, my wife Yvonne is enjoying your fight commentary. Shout out to the wife Yvonne and big up James Clifford every time. Joe says, AJ Partridge is 50-50 for me. Big up Stephen Bell. Yeah, back to jab and hold, but it is interesting that whenever Partridge stands with Makhmudov, Makhmudov is able to catch him quite easily. And that's a little disturbing because, you know, Makhmudov is not exactly the most scientific fighter, is he? So if Makhmudov is catching you that easily when you stand with him, is AJ going to find it difficult catching him? I mean, AJ's a lot faster than that. KD versus the World says Ward glazes Fury so much. Well, all the Americans do. It's rare to find an American that doesn't glaze him because, again, in the minds of most Americans, I'm not saying all Americans, shout out to my American viewers right now, but within the American boxing establishment, they have this outdated perception of boxing. It's like they've still got this, Partridge landed a right uppercut. Makhmudov came right back with a left hook and a right hand. Like immediately. Bang, left hook and right hand from Makhmudov after Partridge landed the uppercut. And that's the physical strength of Makhmudov allowed him to do that. Partridge is actually a little marked up on the face. Because Partridge tried to hold Makhmudov after he landed the uppercut, but Makhmudov was so strong he was able to get shots off, you know, shrug Fury's clinch off and land his own punches. Nearly called him Fury there. Partridge, excuse me. Yeah, a lot of the Americans glaze Partridge because in their mind, unless you've won big fights in the States, you can't really be that good. But, you know, that should not apply to the heavyweight division post 1999. Do you know what I mean? It's bizarre that here we are in 2026 and they still think that the only credible heavyweight out of the UK is Partridge because he's won a couple of big fights in America. Very strange. Anyway, here we are in round 8. I forgot to... Oh, right hand there from Makhmudov. I don't think AJ at ringside is seeing anything here that is going to be putting the fear of God in him, is he? Not that there was anything that AJ showed in his last fight that would put the fear of God in Partridge, but, you know. Nice uppercut there from Partridge. Tries to clinch, but again, Makhmudov very strong. Shrugs off the clinch and comes back with a right hand. Oh, left hook from Makhmudov. It is a nice workout for Partridge, this fight. Very nice workout for him. Because he's not having it completely all his own way. He's got a guy in front of him who's obviously very strong, who's come to win, who's limited, yes, but presenting sufficient. Okay, Partridge lands a good shot there. But Makhmudov ties him up. Nice uppercut from Partridge. Is Makhmudov hurt? Makhmudov's still trying to come back with counters. I don't think I've seen him throw so many counters in a fight ever, Makhmudov. A little bit of head movement there from Makhmudov. That's crazy. Jab there from Partridge. Nice jabs. It's a good round for Partridge, this. Turn southpaw. There's the end of the round. Makhmudov feeling the pace, definitely. A nice workout for Partridge. You know, not so dangerous and not so torrid that he's ever been in any real danger of losing or taking any serious damage, but challenging enough that he's actually having to stay on the ball, sharpen his skills. Do you know what I mean? It's a great fight for him. There's a nice check hook there from Partridge with his back to the ropes. Good shot. No power on it, but knocked Makhmudov off balance. And there was a beautiful right uppercut from Partridge, but nearly again got caught with that left hook. And I've said all along, right? If AJ fights Partridge, the shot that he needs to train in camp is the left hook. And AJ used to have one of the best left hooks in the heavyweight division. But he mothballed it ever since the first Ruiz fight. Now he's scared to throw it. Yeah, he throws it occasionally, but nowhere near as often as he used to. And if he really wants to give himself the best chance against Partridge, AJ has to bring that left hook out again, because he used to have a beautiful left hook that he would throw as a lead and also as a counter. Anyway, here we are in round 9, Partridge Makhmudov. You know, this fight going the distance was definitely a possibility in my mind, but I was leaning more towards Partridge getting a stoppage in this fight. I'm not sure if I said that in video. I certainly picked Partridge to win, but I can't remember what the last prediction I said was for the fight. Was it Partridge on points, or did I say Partridge by stoppage? Because certainly before the fight I was thinking more along the lines of Partridge stopping him. But at this stage, I don't know, man. Makhmudov is hanging tough. Partridge landed some nice body shots there on the inside. But if you compare Partridge's performance here against Makhmudov to Caballel and Vianello, it's a bit disappointing, isn't it? Again, you have to give Partridge some grace. He's coming off 2 losses, a very long layoff. He's 37, 38 years of age. But Vianello did a better job on Makhmudov than this. He had him out of there. And so did Caballel. They both did a better job on Makhmudov than Partridge is doing here. Nice jabs from Partridge. Partridge jabbing and grabbing there, Klitschko style. But again, bagging away to the body on the inside. Partridge would love the stoppage here. Ooh, right hand from Makhmudov. Good shot. Dominica says Ajit destroys Fury. Ajit definitely did a much better job on this opponent, didn't he? Yeah, I do think Andre Ward's gone a bit overboard here about Partridge's performance. I mean, it hasn't been a great performance. It's been okay. It hasn't been a bad performance, in my opinion, by Partridge. But it hasn't been, you know, yeah, Andre Ward's gone a bit overboard here. As somebody earlier on said, glazing Partridge. Because this is a guy that was stopped by Guido Vianello. What was it, in 6 rounds or 7 rounds or something? Was stopped by Vianello. And was stopped in, what was it, 4 or 5 rounds by Ajit Caballel several years ago. Mr. Lucas says Dubois storming the beach. Yeah, that would be an interesting fight now, wouldn't it? If Dubois was in there this evening instead of Makhmudov, Dubois would give Partridge a lot more trouble than this, for sure. But then, to play devil's advocate, you'd have to imagine that Partridge would be a lot more up for it against Dubois than he would be, or than he is for this fight. I would imagine anyway. Here we go, round number 10. Luke Partridge, Arslanbek, Makhmudov. Partridge has won virtually every round. He might have given Makhmudov maybe the first. And he's digging away at Makhmudov's body, but hasn't seen the wilting in Makhmudov yet that he obviously wants from those body shots. David Hayes scored it so far through 9 rounds, 89-83 to Partridge. He gave Makhmudov the first round, and he had the second round even. Everything else to Luke Partridge. Ayed says, poor card this has been. I thought the React-Poor TKV fight was entertaining while it lasted, and I thought that the Justice Hooney-Fraser Clark fight was actually pretty decent. And I did see the Conor Benn Prograis fight, which was a poor performance by Benn. Nice uppercut there from Luke Partridge through the middle. All right, bit of respite there. Makhmudov's gum shield came out. Makhmudov coming back with some shots. He got caught with a big one there from Partridge. He's still going to the body of Makhmudov. But, you know, this really shows what a great body puncher Caballel is, because he had so much of an effect on Makhmudov in what, 3-4 rounds with his body attack, whereas Partridge has been hitting the body for at least 7 of these last 10 rounds, and he hasn't had anywhere near the same effect. So Caballel really a very special body puncher. Oh, nice uppercut from Partridge. Turns Makhmudov on the ropes. Nice little move there. Leans on Makhmudov, hits him in the body. Yeah, Makhmudov starting to really feel them body shots now, I think. At last. Nice jab there from Partridge. Makhmudov trying to move the head, but he's tired. Nice uppercut from Partridge. Left hook, right hand from Partridge. Good shots right on the bell. Makhmudov looking worse for wear there. And I'm sure Luke Partridge will want the stoppage in the final 2 rounds. He wants to seal the deal here. He doesn't want this guy going the distance. Partridge actually getting a telling off there by Sugar Hill. Says he can't be in there trading with him. Sugar Hill calling for the KO. Yep, typical Kronk style. Anyway, here we go, round number 11. If Partridge goes for the KO and gets KO'd himself, imagine John Fury. I don't think Sugar Hill will ever be able to return to the UK if that happened. Mighty Meatball says, I've got this fight really close. You can't be serious. It's not a close fight. Partridge is a mile ahead. Slipping and sliding on the inside, trying to outman Makhmudov on the inside now. 1-2 from Partridge. Makhmudov initiating the clinches now. Earlier on in the fight, it was Partridge initially initiating the clinches. Yeah, it's a very good pick for Partridge. I've got no issue with this opponent, by the way. Again, the guy's coming off a long layoff, back-to-back defeats, 37, 38 years of age. There's nothing wrong with fighting a Makhmudov under those circumstances. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with it. Makhmudov still swinging that right like a lumberjack's axe. But nowhere near its mark anymore. He did land it a few times earlier on in the fight. Uppercut again from Partridge. One thing I can say though is that he doesn't have the speed tonight, does he? That he had in the Usyk fights. And that little deterioration in speed, I think, has taken some power off his shots. Oh, nice uppercut there from Partridge. Catching Makhmudov on the way in. Yeah, Makhmudov at this point, not really trying that hard. Hoping to see the end of this one. It's a hard fight for him. Nice body shots from Partridge. Uppercut, right hand. Nice combinations from Partridge. Really going for it. Makhmudov crudely swings back with a right hand over the top. Partridge pins him in the corner. Tries to open up. 10 seconds left in the 11th. Can he get the stoppage? Makhmudov will definitely want at least... Oh, right hand from Partridge right at the end. Makhmudov will at least want to go the distance, you know? The moral victory of going the distance. Lexio says, Fury versus Schwartz 2 next, please. Hey, don't give him any ideas. Do not give him any ideas. That was a nice uppercut from Partridge. That was a good shot. So we're going into the 12th round. Luke Partridge, a mile ahead against Arslanbek. Makhmudov looks like it's going the distance unless Partridge can score a stoppage in the final session. Let's see. Uppercut again from Partridge. Body shot from Partridge. Been a good workout for him. Catches an overhand right there from Makhmudov. Not much behind it. But did catch a shot. Another body shot from Partridge. Clubbing away on the inside with them body shots. Makhmudov with that great physical strength. You know, if he hasn't shown anything in this fight, Makhmudov, he's certainly shown very impressive physical strength. Here we are in the 12th round, and he's the one in the clinch pushing Partridge back to the ropes. And he's been shipping most of the punishment. Just under 2 minutes left now in the final round. Luke Partridge versus Arslanbek Makhmudov. Will Anthony Joshua get into the ring after the final bell? Will there be a face-off between Partridge and AJ? Because Turkey Al-Sheikh kind of alluded to that fight being, do I want to say a done deal? Do I want to jump the gun like Gareth A. Davis? Nice uppercut from Partridge. Yeah, it's as if Andre Ward never saw Makhmudov get stopped by Caballel early and stopped in the mid-rounds by Guido Vianello. It's acting like no one's ever done anything like this to Makhmudov before. Very strange. Nice shots there from Partridge. Trying to go through the gears here, but 38 seconds left in the 12th. No knockdowns in the fight. Body shot from Partridge. It's been a good workout for him. Switch hitting, he's in a southpaw stance now. Makhmudov swinging like a caveman at the final bell. Okay, there you go. It's gone 12. It was like a lively sparring session. Richard Draper says, glad that's over. I didn't think it was a terrible watch. I thought it was okay. Luke says they both looked awful. Okay. Wave says it put me to sleep, very repetitive. Trolls are bad says fight wasn't as bad as people are saying at all. Again, it weren't that bad. Not that it was a great fight, but it was okay. Just looking at some slow-mos here. Partridge with a slashing left uppercut. He got to shake off the cobwebs. Practice some old moves that he hasn't used for a few fights. Against somebody who has similar dimensions to AJ, right? Obviously, AJ is a lot more athletic and fast and just better than Makhmudov, offensively anyway. It remains to be seen whether he can take the shots that Makhmudov took and stand up. But he's certainly a lot more talented, AJ, than Makhmudov. Mike says, how was Clark versus Honey? I only caught the last couple of rounds. It was a decent fight. Okay, AJ is calling Partridge out. Partridge is telling them to get in the ring. They're having some kind of argument at the side of the ring there. AJ's saying he's not going to get in the ring. What's all that about? How come you don't want to get in the ring? Partridge inviting you in. Shout out to James for the super chat. He says, pretty dull fight. The fact that Fury could go through the gears, or couldn't go through the gears, I guess you meant to say, and get him out of there, shows the decline. Big up James Lynch for the super chat. The Slorm says AJ will KO Fury. David Gold says, what's wrong with AJ? Yeah, why not get in the ring? Is it a respect thing? He feels like he's disrespecting Makhmudov if he gets in the ring? Because AJ's weird like that. Okay, here's the scorecards. 120, 108. Yep, 120, 108 again. 119, 109. So one judge gave Makhmudov a round. Okay. Yep, obviously all in favor of the Gypsy King. Now let's see if we get any kind of announcement here. Let's see if Turkey Yellow Sheik calls AJ into the ring. Maybe they're just holding off for that. I don't know. We shall see. Somebody's saying AJ rarely gets into the ring to set up a fight. That's true. He doesn't tend to like to do that. But for this fight, why not? So there's a bunch of people that appear to be looking over at AJ there. And surely he's going to mention AJ's name here. Let's see. Okay, Turkey's about to speak. Okay. Turkey's calling Eddie Hearn into the ring. Why is Eddie Hearn not getting in the ring? Why is Eddie not getting in it? What is going on here? So, AJ won't get in the ring. Hearn won't get in the ring. What's all that about? AJ's sitting down. He's not even standing. Why is AJ so weird? AJ trying to look like some kind of final boss or something. Look at him sitting down in the chair, trying to look mean. AJ coming with some final boss vibes. What's all that about? Not even standing up. Okay, so he's asking him yes or no now. Is AJ going to say yes or no? Let's see. What the hell? They handed him the mic. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. AJ thinks he's the final boss. Oh dear. Yeah, that's corny from AJ. Man acting like he's the final boss. Big up President Brush for the super chat. He says, it's Mind Games, Hatman, Netflix versus The Zone. AJ can't commit to things right now and he knows that. Shout out to President Brush. Mike says better than AJ's usual speeches, to be fair. Yeah, very, very weird stuff from AJ. Very weird. Shout out to Matt Bogus, and he says, I think AJ versus Wilder is already done. Okay, that's a hot take. Is that what it is? Is AJ going to fight Wilder first and then fight Partridge? Big up Matt for the super chat. He says, the way Eddie made it seem is like it's not next. Here's my take. Yeah, AJ can have a tune-up before he fights Partridge. But he shouldn't be fighting Wilder before Partridge. Okay, I know all else talking to AJ here. Just listen to what he's saying. Such a weird guy. Big up Ray for the super chat. He says Tyson Fury was decent, but we saw nothing new from Fury. I also think there's no power there now. Big up Ray. I think there's still power there. I just don't think he was that sharp. You know, I don't think he was quick enough to turn over his power that much tonight. When he's never been a massive puncher. I think he's got enough power when he's sharp. That's when he can turn the punches over quicker and get more on them. But big up Ray for the super chat. Big up Matt. He says, just look at the interaction with him and Turkey. Shout out to D-Man. He says, who won? Partridge won. Big up Dot. He says, AJ is so weird, man. He really is a very, very weird guy. He's so weird. Hey, big up Mike for the super chat. He says, cheers for the live. Catch you on the next one. Stay hungry, stay humble. Robot. Yep. The robot is still talking to Anna all us now. AJ talking rubbish here. He says, there's real stuff in my life that I need to tend to. No, when I say talking rubbish, okay, he has come back off a terrible incident. But this is a very non-committal response from AJ, saying I need to sort some things out in my life first and this, that, and the other. Big up Ibrahim. He says, I think this fight is a lot closer than most people think. As in, you think it's going to be closer in the ring or closer to happening, closer to getting signed? D-Man says, sounds like Partridge didn't have a good performance. I thought the performance was okay. I didn't think it was bad. He was all right. Charles B says, still think Partridge wins. Me too. I still think Partridge beats AJ. Ton Fisher says, Fury pushing for the next fight, doesn't want AJ to have a warm-up. See, if AJ wants a warm-up, all he has to say is, you've had your warm-up, now I'm going to have my warm-up, we'll fight later on in the year. But instead he's coming out of all this weird stuff about, I'm the landlord and when I'm ready and this and, I mean, I run the game. Like, what is this guy talking about? Run the game? What is AJ talking about? Indeed, why not just get in the ring? The place boxing says 118, 108 is wild. Well, wild as in why? Because they gave Makhmudov a couple of rounds? Because that was a shutout by Partridge. Wave says it's all mind games. Well, we'll see. WPW says he had a warm-up in December. Yeah, but that was before the crash. You don't know what that's going to do to your body. You know, you don't know what it's going to do to you neurologically when you have a crash like that. So I could accept him having a fight, you know, a tune-up just to see where his body's at and whatever after the crash. And all you have to do is say that. Say you can have a little tune-up and then fight Partridge after that. What's with all the weird landlord and I run the game and you have to come and see me. And shout out to Cobras. He says, what's worse, going 12 rounds with Makhmudov or taking 6 rounds to KO Jake Paul? That's a good question. It's a tough one, actually, because Jake Paul ran around the ring. And when someone's just running away from you like that, and they're athletic enough to do it, it can be difficult. You know, even if they're a journeyman level, it can be difficult to deal with a guy that just isn't there to fight, they're just there to run around. Whereas Makhmudov has been stopped. You know, Makhmudov comes at you, he's there to be hit, and he's been stopped within the first half of the fight twice by Caballero and by Villanello. So for Partridge to not be able to do it, it's a good question. Shout out to Duran. He says, big up Hatman, guy called Henry sent us. Big up a guy called Henry. Telstar says, Lennox battling for AJ, and to be fair, he makes a good point. Luke says, nobody has beaten a Talma. Well, one thing I will say, and this might be controversial to some, again, I want to preface what I'm about to say. Luke Partridge, aka Tyson Fury, tends to fight to the level of his opposition. When he's in there against the top guy, he tends to raise his game. When he's in there against the lower tier guy, he doesn't tend to perform as well. So I'll say that before talking about a Talma. If the version of Partridge, aka Fury, that we saw tonight against Makhmudov was to fight a Talma, the Talma beats that guy. But that is not, I don't think, the best version of Partridge that there can be. I think even now at his age, he can produce better form than that, especially when he's more active. But that version of Partridge, yeah, I reckon a Talma would beat that version. All right, peeps, gonna shut this one down. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this live stream. It's been fun. And if you can all do me a small favor of sticking a like on this stream on your way out, it really helps the visibility. Okay? So, until next time, take care, be good. Oh, I almost forgot. A special shout out to those who donated via Super Chat. You know the routine. Let me read out their names. Big up Matt Borgerson. Big up Grizz D. Big up Matt Bryant. Big up Luca. FIFA Jr. Kira Malcolm. Chrissy G. President Brush. Stephen Bell. James Clifford. James Lynch. I think I said President Brush. Ray Cole Brown. Big up. We got P. Dot. I'll just call him P. Dot. D-Man. Mike. Ibrahim. And Cobra. All right. Special shout out to those who donated via Super Chat. Yes, until next time, take care, be good. I'll catch you guys on the other side. I'm out.